Quilty friends, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to make this super cute and easy and self-binding mug rug. I'm also, as part of today's tutorial, going to show you an interesting way to make a 4-patch that I am sure you are going to like. I'm using fabrics from Riley Blake's Falls in Town line, and I'm also using some woolly flannels from Maywood Studios, but you can use whatever you would like from your stash. The finished size is 8 by 8 inches. This is a perfect size for your mug and your snack. Let's get started with this project. So the supplies for this project are super easy. You're going to need 4 5.5-inch squares, 1 8.5-inch square for your backing, and then a piece of batting that also measures 8.5-inch square. Okay, so to get started, you want to take 2 of your squares and place them face to face. And then you want to clip down both sides, the left and the right side. And this is what it'll look like. I have one set done here already. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew down each side, this side and this side. And we're going to use a scant 1/4 inch for this project. So I'm going to take these over to the sewing machine and sew them together. Autumn comes too soon. The light that flickers will blow away the sigh, and all that blossomed will wither. So I've sewn down both sides of both pieces. So now I'm going to cut it in half. So you're going to measure from one side of the fabric 2 3/4. So I'm just going to line mine up here with my ruler. And make sure everything is square. And then you're cutting 2 3/4. So then you will have 2 pieces like this. And I already cut my other piece like this. And then we'll just press these. You want to pick 2 that will go the opposite direction, so then we can nest our seams. So you'll have 2 going one way and 2 going the other way. So after you have them all pressed, match up 2 together. Make sure you're locking your seams and clip on either side. And I've done that for both blocks. And then what you're going to do now is we're going to sew down this side and this side, and we'll do this for both blocks. Okay, so I've sewn down both sides. I'm using red thread. I had it on for some quilting when I quilted one of these earlier, and I figured it was appropriate since it matches the fabric. Plus it helps you see my stitches a little bit better as I'm sewing. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to cut this in half. And we're going to use the same measurement as before, 2 3/4. Now, if those of you who've done some math, you're probably figuring out how we get in there. I oversized my 4 patches. So we're going to size these down to 4.5. It just makes it a lot easier and gives you a little bit of grace when you're sewing. So we are going to, again, do the same measurement as before. You're going to line it up with 2 3/4 on the edge of your fabric. I'm just going to double check myself. And I'm going to cut them in half. And then we'll do, and then you'll do the same with the other block. You're going to cut that in half. So I'm going to do that right now. And make sure this is square. And this in half. All right, so once you have them cut in half, get them all laid out however you would like them to be laid out, and then determine which way you want your seams to go. I have a water-soluble pen here. I'm just going to mark my blocks lightly on the back so I can keep them in the order. You can mark them however you want, or you don't have to mark them if you don't want to worry about it. Just going to do that. It just kind of helps me keep things straight. And then I'm going to give these a bit of a press and get them matched up, and then we'll go on to the next step.
Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon. The light that flickers will blow.
So we're going to trim these down. I've got 2 down already, but I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. I'm using a 4.5-inch square, and I'm using a rotating cutting mat. And I'm going to lay this ruler down. And the 1/4-inch line, the 2.25-inch line, should line up with your center lines for your block. You just want to make sure you've got equal all the way around, and then just apply a little bit of pressure and then trim it. And then just rotate your mat. And then trim it. Trim it again. And then trim it again. Now, if you don't want to trim these down, you can start with a 5-inch square and then adjust the math accordingly when you go to cut your pieces in half. I like to oversize because it just makes life a lot easier, and it just gives you a little bit of grace with your 4 patches. So I'm going to do my last one, and then we'll go on to the next step. I have my pieces all trimmed down to 4.5-inch squares, and I have them laid out back in the order that I want them. So I'm going to start with the top row, and you're just going to lay the top row. I work right to left. You can work whichever direction works best for you. I'm going to nest my seams together, and I'm going to clip these together. And I'm going to do the same for the bottom. And I like to put the clip on the side where I'm going to sew. And then when I'm working with blocks like these, since we're now at an exacting measurement, I like to just put a few extra pins and clips just to keep everything square when I'm sewing everything together. So I'm just going to pin these together quick. And now I'm going to take these over to the sewing machine. And then I'm going to sew down this side for both pieces. And then we'll go on to the next step.
Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon. The light that flickers.
So I've got my pieces all pressed, and I have them laid out here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top piece and lay it on top of the bottom piece. And I've pressed my seams opposite directions, so I'm just going to nest them together now. And I'm just going to clip it. And again, because I've got a lot of pieces going on and everything, I am going to make sure my points line up and everything. I am going to put some more pins in here just to make sure everything stays square. And I'm going to double check my points to make sure they're lining up. And I usually like to clip my points. So I have it all pinned and ready to go. I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew the two pieces together down the middle, and then we'll go on to the next step. So you're going to want to take your batting and lay it down, and then you're going to want to take your piece that you just finished, lay it on the top, face up. Make sure your edges are all squared up. Then take your backing and lay it face down, and then square up your edges as well. And then you're going to clip all the way around, and you're going to want to leave a 3-inch gap. I like to do mine at the bottom, but you can pick wherever you'd like, either in the middle. I preferably you want to do it in the middle, because what we're going to do is we're going to turn this inside out. So you just want to leave like a 3-inch gap, and on either side of the 3-inch gap you want a backspace when you're sewing. So I'm just going to clip this all the way around, and then we'll take this to the sewing machine. So I have mine sewn all the way around, and then I backstitched on either side of my opening. And now what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to clip your corners, but don't clip your stitch line. Just clip just to get rid of a little bit of bulk on your corner. And just go all the way around. And then what you're going to do is you're going to reach in between your backing and the piece that you sewed together. And it just takes a little bit to get it out. So I'm going to work on mine here. So I'm just going to take my tool here and just press my corners out. And if you find that you didn't catch all the layers, that's okay. Just go, just turn it back, the wrong side's out again, and just go back and hit those spots again until you get them all sewn together. And then I'm just going to kind of go along the edge, just to kind of convince it that that's, the shape it needs to be. To just kind of run it along there and just get it shaped like you want it. You can use the other side. This one came from Clover. It's very good. Okay, so we got it all turned right side out. And I'm just going to give that a little bit of a press to kind of convince that seam that that's the direction you want it to go. Okay, so I have this all pressed, and then you can just clip this where the opening is. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go and sew 1/8 of an inch, just a little top stitch all the way around the top to close that opening. So there it is. You can quilt it however you would like. You can stitch in a ditch, you can do a pattern, but you're all ready for fall then. So if you like this video, do click the like button because it does help my channel, as well as subscribe. But for now, I wish you well, and most of all, be quilty.